Welcome to our Women in Leadership series, Her Story Meets, where we sit down and we speak to leaders about their journey. So we discuss their leadership journey today, the highs, the lows, and the lessons, as well as the future of leadership. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Dr. Bindu Babu. Um, Hi, Dr. Bindu. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining us today and being a part of this series.
It's an honor. It's an honor. I'm actually super excited about our interview today. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, yeah. So just start off by really just introducing yourself, letting us know what it is that you currently do.
So, what I am a medical physician, and
Hmm.
then I went through my own journey where I felt like I needed to change my life and I needed to help myself. And that was when I decided to do my doctorate in natural medicine, and I did my PhD in integrative medicine. Um, I'm a Reiki master. I'm a past life regression therapist, and I was trained by world renowned Dr. Brian Weiss, MD. And that book that came into my life, Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss, changed my entire life and perspectiveness about mind, body, soul healing. Because him being a physician himself, and he was doing hypnotherapy on his patients, he tapped into people's past lives. So for me, that kind of correlated to my own intuitive ability and the different signs and things that I get, which I always looked as very luck based or coincidence, and I wanted to really kind of take my journey further. And after that, I started doing more of coaching and working as a consultant to so many women all over the world. I've spoken to many world conferences and psychiatry conferences in regarding coaching and mindset reprogramming and quantum healing approach, um, especially those who are in toxic narcissistic
Hmm.
relationships. So I authored a book, My Soulmate, My Love, My Narcissist. And that's what I do. I help the community, and I try to be a thought leader. So just to inspire all, and especially women.
Yeah. And you've already mentioned so much. You have such a varied and extensive skill set. So as you mentioned, you are a medical physician, and I know that you cover off a lot of other sort of discipline in areas sort of within health and medicine. So it'd be interesting to know, like, was that a journey that did you always want to get into that field? Was it always your sort of desire to work in that area? What kind of had you go down that path, and just share a bit about your journey today, how you got to where you are.
Well, it's interesting because I think as most of us can say, we have a certain picture of what we want to do in life, but then circumstances happen where you understand your life purpose.
Hmm.
It's not the cookie cutter belief structure we're brought up in the sense of, getting yourself educated, getting a very good career, buying a house, getting married, having children. You know, we have that. But in my circumstances, I was on my way of doing medicine and becoming I am a physician, but the whole process and getting married. And then I realized life didn't really work out the way I wanted. I married a narcissist and I didn't know what hit me, and I wanted to change. I needed to come out of it. I needed to heal because when you're with a narcissist, and anybody who's been with a narcissist will know that it's like as if someone ripped your soul out of you, and you don't even know who you are. You don't know your identity. You're really hit rock bottom, and it's the worst place to be, worst. And nobody, unless they're in it, could really understand the plight of that. And I didn't know how to heal myself. Even though I'm a physician,
Mm.
um, when you're talking about mental health, the medications that are there are only to alleviate the symptoms. They don't heal you. And I learned that I had to heal myself, and I needed to heal myself, and I wanted to heal myself, especially for my children. I could barely move myself. So that was when I read that book, and I decided that I wanted to heal me, but then I needed to heal others because I know there's so many women out there in toxic relationships or some sort of emotional abuse or physical abuse where either they're quiet about it because nobody wants
Mm-hmm.
to put their dirty laundry out, or there's taboo. What do other people think? Cultural ostracizing somebody out of their society, their life, their kids. And I was like, no, we have to empower ourselves. We have to heal. And that was why I took that journey and I started educating myself more too. Not just my intuition. And I started studying further and I did my doctorates and I did my PhD and books and I started vocalizing
Mm.
something that most of us don't want to hear.
Yeah. So again, you've touched on so much, and you cover off so many different areas within sort of medicine and health. Just to delve a bit deeper into your experience and how all these different areas and all these different skill sets sort of come together. I mean, obviously, you mentioned that you do coaching as well, and I know you use like quantum modalities of healing in your coaching with clients.
Yes.
As you mentioned, you got a doctorate in natural medicine. You're a medical physician, a past life regression therapist. So you cover off so many different areas, so many different disciplines. How does your varying knowledge and skill set help you to provide a transformative experience for your client?
Well, when you work with someone, I can't heal somebody.
Mm,
You have to heal yourself, right? The change that can ever occur, like I can't change you, only you can change yourself. I can assist you, right? So you
mm-hmm,
start off with that, where me and my client make a pact together and we put it out to the universe in a very quantum way of understanding that we are guiding for that goal. And that goal is for your change. And it's a lot of energy work, right? Mind
yeah.
body healing, reprogramming the mindset, having understanding certain circumstances, why it happened, why you allowed it, learning to love yourself again, self love, and really clearing the energy of your body. Your cells
Mm-hmm,
take up your body, and that's what causes
yeah.
disease, you know? So I sit with my clients, we do one on one reprogramming the mindset consultation.
Mm,
Usually it's about 60 minutes and then 20 minutes of Reiki, guided meditation, and healing, so that you kind of like encompass everything you learned, kind of seal it and clear your energy into a positive mindset and start growing and empowering yourself and loving yourself again to be your authentic self. So, this is what I do with my
mm.
clients. So, it's a beautiful journey. I enjoy
It
it.
does. It does sound like a beautiful journey, and I think a lot of the times when we've spoken maybe about health and medicine, we focus very much on the physical, physical aspects of things, and maybe not dealt more with the mental sides of things, and seeing having a more holistic picture of maybe sometimes of what might be going on with someone, and the type of support they need to get out of wherever they are. And looking at this last year, for example, it's been highly stressful,
Yes.
and it has taken a hit on many people's mental well-being.
Yes.
um, so just to understand, I know as part of the work that you do is to help clients attain mindful living. So we're talking about leadership. Leaders, sometimes they're not known to always take the best care of their mental well-being. So from your experience, your varied knowledge, and your experience with your clients, what sort of tips would you give to leaders for mindful living, and to improve their mental well-being?
If you're half full, your cup is half full, you
Mm,
really can't give too much of yourself to somebody else to help anybody. You can't. You
mm,
have to have a glass that's completely full, in fact, overflowing, for you to really help somebody. And
mm,
to do that, you have to always take time for yourself to be really connected to your inner being. And that means taking that time to sit, disconnect from everything, technology, work, and having discipline in your lifestyle. It's very, I understand that being an entrepreneur myself, I understand that we have
mm,
deadlines, we have certain, um, you know, commitments, that we have, where I know clients, or I know fellow entrepreneurs, that as soon as they wake up in the morning, they reach their cell phone and they're checking their email, and it just starts on a roll. And it's you're not really clearing your mind to have that discipline. Okay, for this 1 hour, 2, 3 hours, I'm going to check my email, or this is the time I'm going to focus on my clients. Because if you have everything jumbled, you really can't be too much of a leader.
mm,
You end up not helping others or yourself. So it's important to always take time for self care. You must self care, and meditation is the key.
mm,
Every day, early morning, that's the first thing I do is meditate. First is gratitude, gratitude to the universe, gratitude for waking up and everything that I do have, whatever it may
mm.
be. And then after that is meditating, giving myself that 20 minutes. And then I start my day, no matter what.
Yeah, yeah,
You have to be here to be giving others. You can't be half empty. It's because that's what you're going to give is half.
yeah, absolutely. And it's really important. I think this, if this year alone hasn't kind of
Yeah.
made people kind of realize that, well, I really do have to take care of
Yeah.
myself, then I don't know any other time really, because um, the impact, it's been so big on people, in terms of work. People have had to step back, um,
Right.
and really sort of look introvertly, really look within themselves, and determine, okay, what do I need to work on within myself, and then be able to move forward, or be able to create new plans or new direction,
And
for what it
especially,
is they want to do.
yeah, and especially guilt free.
Mm,
I think as women, we have a really hard time to deal with that. And the reason I'm saying that is we have so many roles, right? Either we're mothers,
yeah.
wives, girlfriends, sisters, daughters. We have all these different roles, friends, right?
Mm,
So when you're trying to first kind of fulfill these roles for everybody, and your sense of responsibility to those roles. Like if you're a wife, I know some people believe they should wake up and take care of their husband, or you have children, their needs should be met
yeah.
first, then you can relax, and you don't get that time. And then if you
Mm,
do take the time away, the guilt. So it's really kind of important to understand that when you do have those responsibilities, to really be in your ultimate best in those responsibilities is when you
yeah.
do take time for yourself, guilt free. Like you
Mm,
said, self reflect and be okay. Be
yeah.
okay. Take that 20 minutes and take a full bath with bath
Mm,
salts and flowers, and just sleep. Do what you got to
yeah.
do.
Yeah. And even though there's so much discussion, around mental health, mental well-being at the moment, we're still seeing instances where, when people are kind of sharing about their experiences, when maybe their mental well-being is not, where they would like it to be, that's always being questioned, as to whether they do have a mental health issue, or whether they're exaggerating. For instance, when we look at someone recent situation with Naomi Osaka at the French Open,
Yeah.
like, just not respecting, where she is and her position and what she may be going through. Or we even saw it with Meghan, Markle, being questioned about whether she was really going through the mental issues that she mentioned. Um, so I know that businesses and leaders are being put in a position now where they have to start taking sort of not just their mental well-being seriously, but if they're leading others, if they're leading a business unit, they have to start thinking about the mental well-being of those who are under them, um,
Right.
as well, and taking that into consideration. So what I know that you are a trainer in mindset reform. So what areas for, how does a business, in terms of their mindset and their culture and leaders, need to change in order to be able to support the needs of those around them?
It's so interesting because people are, especially corporate, it's about squeezing out as much as you can to make a financial abundance, right?
Mhm.
For their profits, for that, it's squeezing the worker out and so forth, and micromanaging, and all these different. You must stay in your cubicle and do not do your private work, or there's so much these rules and regulations that make a person miserable.
Yeah.
And it's such a simple thing of, if your employee is happy, your productivity is going to be higher.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it is, right? If you feel happy, you feel like giving more to your friends or your employee. It's the same concept, right? So if you implement and put programs in place, like mindfulness programs, I've done that a lot with corporate, right? Where it's catching on, like you said, it's catching
Mm.
on, where well, it's a win-win situation, right? Because almost 8 hours of your life is at your job. So when you bring these different workshops of teaching people about positivity, gratitude, meditation, breathing techniques, stress methods of relief, right? They feel good because one,
Mm.
they're unwinding in their workplace. They appreciate the employer who's bringing these, tools to their employees, and then they go home happy, and their household is even better because what happens when you're crabby from work, you bring it home, and then you're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you, or I don't want to deal with the kids, and you just continue this whole negative energetic pattern. So it's such a simple thing that if people just actually kind of thought, hey, let me do a 30-minute workshop in the 8 hours that my employees are there, believe me that the rest of that 7.5 hours you're gonna bang it out more in
Mm.
productivity than without it. And
Yeah.
everyone's happy. It's a win-win.
Yeah. And there's sort of a lot of different things that companies and leaders are trying to implement sort of within their business. There's
Yeah.
a lot of talk now around, working from flexible working,
Yeah.
no, working
Yeah.
from home policies. Just in the news the other day, so I know Bumble, they've given their workers a week off, um, because of a lot of the stress of going public, and everything
Okay.
like that. So what what do businesses and leaders kind of need to look at? How do they need to maybe communicate with their staff in order to find something that's a good balance, and helps employees with their mental health and well-being?
Well, I mean, when it depends on the, area of business,
Mm.
like, I mean, if you're in finance and you're doing stocks, it's a little difficult, right? You have to constantly monitor and
Yeah.
watch, but then there's different ways of dealing with that, like have certain people at a certain hour watching, give a relief in someone else,
Mm.
and kind of like put scheduling, that really makes a difference, right? How do you implement that? How do you put the communication, even if you're at home or you're taking some time off? Do a survey, ask your employees, what is it that you would require to make you happy? Simple thing. And you'll see the
Yeah.
responses. I mean, you'd be surprised how simple, like, I just need a 15-minute tea break and I can, and it's not too much to ask, right?
Mm.
It's just the fear of giving that over to an employee is always that, like I said, the fear of losing control and power or not being productive. But honestly, if you have a happy employee and you sit down and do a survey or sit down and say, okay, here's 20 minutes of a tea break, or, and provide it and be more engaging, I think people would be much more happier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And also just looking at the healthcare industry as a sort of a wider view. There's always, constant needs within the healthcare industry. I know mental well-being is a big area, but there's also a lot of other needs within the healthcare industry. Now, with your background within medicine and healthcare, if there's people who are interested, in maybe some form of sort of healthcare entrepreneurship. I know that's something you cover a bit on a course that you have,
Yes.
for instance. But what are the key areas sort of within healthcare, that people can be thinking about if they want to kind of create sort of organizations or, businesses within this space? And, why is continuous innovation within the space so important?
So healthcare is I mean, in the United States is a huge industry as well.
Mm.
From transcription and medical transcription, where you have EMR softwares and so forth for your notes, and people coming in training. Then you have assistants who do EKGs. I mean, you can make a complete business,
Mm.
sauna with ultrasonograms and different corporates and different companies that you can branch out, medical equipment supplies, pharmacy. I mean, home deliveries. I mean, you can go on and on for the needs
mm,
of a patient. So it's more about research, your niche in what you feel is comfortable that you can provide and do, and your understanding of what businesses there are for healthcare, even education, teach updating physicians on the latest medications or latest care or the latest protocols. What are, for us, like AMA, what do they require? And I mean, there's different ways of making business in any industry, actually. you know
mm.
you'd be surprised, but it's more about doing the research, feeling what you're passionate about, and then making a business plan and going forward.
Yeah. And I mean, as a woman within the healthcare space, gender equality is something that we're all trying to achieve across different industries and so forth. How would you sort of see the sort of gender equality within sort of the healthcare and the medicine field? Is there a lot of women within this space um, at the moment?
Well, it medicine was always male dominant. I think in most,
Mm,
it's not only medicine, in all corporate too, it's very male dominant, right? In medicine, women have become more stronger. There are more female physicians. What I would like to see is more female surgeons. You know,
mm,
certain parts of medicine where it's still like orthopedic surgeons, you hardly ever see women. But it's also a preference of what they like to do. What I would say is the mental thinking of people of what they expect a physician to be is huge. As a woman clinician, I would be in my office, and if I was when I was working in a clinic, and clinic is walk in, right? So there'll be a few of us. It's not my usual routine of patients. And if I'm covering someone and a woman comes in, a woman will come in, and I said, okay, why don't you sit down and let me look at your chart, and I'll explain about the medications. They'll be like, oh,
mm,
that's wonderful. And then they'll say, well, when is the doctor coming in?
mm.
And I would be surprised, And I said, well, I am the physician. And they're like, oh, you don't really look, I didn't know. You didn't appear to me that you're a physician, you know? And it's has a lot to do with our mental biasness of what we expect a physician to be, what we expect a police officer should look like, what we expect a fireman should look like, or CEOs to look like. CEOs at least is a little bit better. You still think
Mm,
now you see more women empowered to do it. But if you say a police officer or a fireman, the first gender that comes into your head is a male.
yeah.
So that perspective has to change a lot so that women, children, girls are inspired to go after those careers, you know, to inspire and
Mm,
be an example that, oh wow, she is an orthopedic surgeon, so can I. It's not a taboo.
yeah.
So it's a lot of education and awareness
Mm,
to break that mental thinking, even in women itself.
yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it's sad that you don't are not maybe appreciated or recognized um, for the work that you do. Sometimes as a woman,
Yeah.
you know, that people don't accept or believe that a woman can hold certain roles or hold certain responsibilities. So definitely there needs to be a lot of shift in terms of that. And as you mentioned, education very key. And sort of building the awareness so that more women and young girls will consider that as career paths for themselves.
And also the trust that a woman can do the same position as great or even better than a
Mm,
man.
yeah.
That's another factor too. I've gotten it many times. Well, you're a physician, but maybe the doctor, male doctor, can he come and just overlook it? Maybe you miss something.
Mm,
And you just, you first think, maybe, is it because you think I'm not intelligent? No, it's because of my gender. So
mm,
it's every industry you run into it. you know I think a male would be more smarter or better or apt to this position than a woman, and that has to change. And that's education and awareness. It's not just knowing that this position is meant for a man. It's also a woman can do. as good or better. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you obviously mentioning, that women can do their job just as much as a man can do.
Sure.
Um, you know, uh, we've sort of run out of time in terms of our conversation, but as you mentioned, like, where can we find you online? Where can people find out more about what you do? Sort of follow your content online.
So I have a website. It's www.bindubabu.com. You can Google me, Dr. Bindu Babu. You can find me on Instagram, the same handle, Instagram,
Mhm.
Twitter, Facebook, Dr. Bindu Babu. And you can find all my contacts on that and reach out to me, email, whatever I can do to support you, become my client, read my book, and bring awareness to everyone that you can empower yourself and heal.
Yeah. And any last words, anything you want to leave our audience with, whether it be around healthcare, whether it be around women in leadership, what do you want to share with them?
What I would say with the conversation is that you are the most powerful when you have the power of you,
Hmm.
not validation from somebody else or someone saying you're good or you're great. That's also beautiful and that also boosts your confidence. I'm not saying it's bad, but when you have the power of you are so powerful. You can conquer mountains in the world. And that's when you trust yourself and who you are with your goods and your bads.
Mm,
And that's really important to move forward with everything because once you understand that, you can heal yourself in anything you do. You know, our mind heals us more than you can imagine.
mm.
So that's what I would say.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Bindu. Thank you for sharing your experiences. I believe it's really going to empower everyone who's listening. And I will leave the details as to where people can reach out and follow you.
That's
So thank
great.
you once again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.